Caplan, please?
I wanted to talk this week about a friend of mine that just was nifter and is in the middle of the shiva of him right now. This friend of mine was 13 years and a week older than me. So that means that when I was born, Tez Zayin Elo Tovshin Yud Gimel, August 26, 1953. So this person was a week after his bar mitzvah. And yet, we had a relationship. Now, I wouldn't call it a close relationship, but we very much understood one another, which I don't know if I could find another person that I could say that on, that we understood one another. He was a big complainer, and I understood all his complaints, and he also understood my complaints.
Rabbi Caplan, you're going to introduce him.
Slowly, patience. His name was Yitzock Levitt. Very few people know of him. Yitzock Levitt lived in Beit Vegan for many years. He was born in Haifa in the year Tovshin. What's that in English? 39?
1940 English.
40. In the year 40, Yud Elul 1940. He was born. When he was born, the world was already 1 year into the Second World War. And he mentioned it to me one time. And he said, when I was born, a lot of tourists came down to the world. And that's how he looked at it. In the end of his life, for a few years, he was in bed and in a wheelchair. And he had a helper, a caregiver, an Indian, that he mamish used to pick him up and put him in the wheelchair. Pick him up like you pick up a baby, with the one arm under his arms and one arm under his legs. And he would put him in the wheelchair, and then he would pick him up from the wheelchair and put him into the bed. And for a few years he was like that. This person worked in the area, in the municipality of Yerushalayim. And I think he had different jobs at different times over there. It was hard for him to be mekabel kol, how do you say that in English, to meet people, to have to deal with people. He would have rather sit in a room by himself and work over there. But there were many years that he had to talk to people and listen to their situations and decide if they can get a reduction in the municipal taxes or not. It was hard for him. And he worked there many years until he retired. When he was young, he learned in different yeshivas of the Datiim Lumiyim, how do you call it, the national religious. But he understood learning very good. In those years, it was maybe closer to the yeshivas of the Haredim. And he understood learning very good. He had a tremendous mind, a very deep mind. He had a fast tefisa. He understood deep svaras that you would say to him right away. He understood with a hint. There's people that I know. I have many different friends. All kinds, all types. And there's some people I know that everything you say, you have to start from square one. You can't just start with a hint, say with a hint, and he'll understand. You have to go to square one, and from there you have to go step by step in order for the person to understand. And if you come from a different background, you'll have to explain to that person your background, and then you can say what you want to say. Many things are understood to those people who come from that background. But somebody doesn't come from exactly that background. Even if he's living in the same world you live, he won't understand what you're saying until you explain him in detail, and then he'll start understanding. And this person, not only he understood with a hint, but he understood even with a hint that you're saying this thing because of your background is such and such, so that's why you're saying it, even though his background was different. But he can understand the hint that you're talking from your background, and he would understand it, and you didn't have to go explain detail by detail. Sometimes it tremendously irritates me, this, and I say to the person that's asking, okay, you just erase it and let's change this subject. That happens to me. But this person understood with a hint. And what I want to say is that he was what they call in Yiddish a balabos. But he understood Lomdisches Sforas. He understood Yeshivisches Sforas. His years in the yeshiva stayed with him. He learned in a yeshiva 7 years in Merkaz Arav. And it's I think, I don't know if it's a yeshiva like, I don't know if it's like every yeshiva is different, but it definitely is a yeshiva. He learned there 7 years, and I heard that he was a masmid when he was young. He never told me about what his yeshiva years were like. He would talk about it when he was in kindergarten. He would talk about first grade.
Well, Rabbi Kaplan,
Yeah.
you mentioned to me over the years, he used to tell you what the Rosh Yeshiva thought about the Chazon Ish. Every week he talked about the Chazon Ish.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget.
And he used to mention to me that the Rosh Yeshiva in Merkaz Arav, his name was Rav Tzvi Yehuda, talked with Zilzul on the Chazon Ish. He said, what was the Chazon Ish? A balabas in Vilna, what was it? And he used to cook and yell and scream. What do you mean the Chazon Ish was a balabas in Vilna? And what was your father? He was something else. Around Ha'idus you come. And the Chazon Ish, you say, a balabas in Vilna, he mamish used to cook when he ever used to mention that. He had an understanding. He wasn't sold to a party. He understood what Torah is, what Talmidei Chachamim are. Now, I have a few pictures of him. You would see him. You wouldn't really think that this is a Isha Maila that's worth talking about. And a few people knew him. He lived in Beit Vegan. A few people knew him. Another few years he'll be forgotten. Nobody will ever remember that he was around. But I especially have a strong feeling for this person because I think that you can get through this. You can talk about a certain hashkafa on life. But actually, I wanted to start with something else. I wanted to mention a Gemara and another thing. But while I'm talking, I wanted to mention that this person was, for a few years, he was in bed and in a wheelchair. I had a shaykhus to him because it all started around 40 or more years ago in Beit Vegan. And there's a shir, a famous shir. Those that live in Beit Vegan know about it. There's a famous Dafayami shir in the shul that's called Chanichei HaYeshivas. Rabbi Isser Lazaruk. Daf Yomi Shir, I think they're already holding by their fifth time learning Shas, I think, and maybe even the sixth time. And this person went to that Shir of Rabbi Shir, and he was in that Shir until he became sick and he wasn't able to go to the Shir anymore. But he, mamish, until the end, until as long as he could, he went to the Shir. And actually, the Shir was, he enjoyed the Shir. He had a geschmack in learning. And when I lived in Beit Vegan many years ago, I was a substitute for that shir. The Maggid shir over there used to ask me to substitute for him when he couldn't say the shir. So through that, I know this yitzock. And it happened also twice that I had to go to the area, to the municipality, to help me arrange my the payment of the taxes for the area, and he helped me. He worked in the area, and he helped me. Not that he helped me, that he made me a protectia to get a discount, but he showed me where to go, who to go to, who could help me. And this was still when the area was still in the Davidka. And later on, the area moved to Kikar Safras. I went and met him there also. And he helped me. He showed me where to go and who to go to and who to talk to. Now, afterwards, when he retired, he came to the Kolo by us, and I learned with him a little bit. It didn't go so good. I don't know why. It could be he didn't have the patience to sit down and learn a Daf Gemara straight, go through. I think that's what it was. But we used to talk in learning a little bit. And then later he became sick and he was at home. So I made up a Seder to go to visit him twice a week. Each time a half an hour. And I used to talk about the things that I'm going to say in the Chabur. I say a Chabur in the Kolo there once a week. So I would talk about the sugya that I'm about to talk about that week. I would tell him the kasha that I have, the ideas that I'm thinking, and he always understood what I'm saying. He even abstract svaras, even deep svaras, things that Balabatim Bichlal don't understand. There's a certain sug of things that you can't talk to Balabatim, like these people. Like it just reminds me right now of a certain person that has a certain relationship with me, that he calls me up every once in a while. Not a relative, a mechutin, that he calls me up every once in a while. And he was telling me that now he's learning Daf Yomi and they're learning Cheskes Abatim, and he starts asking me, how does that apply nowadays? How could it be these things that somebody lives in somebody else's house 3 years and he kept quiet and it's a riot that he has a chazak? It's not practical nowadays, these dinim. I said, I don't care. Finally, after over the years, this person, a few times he talked like this. I said, I just don't care if it's practical or if it's not practical. This is Torah. I said to him like this: when you learn Torah, you become close to Hashem. Torah brings us close to Hashem. These ideas is Chachmas or Ritzonu Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like the Tanya says in the beginning, Parakeh. And that's all I need. It's not practical, so it's not practical. I don't care. This yitzock, he understood this right away. That person is a balabas, even though he's been sitting in yeshivas for after he retired. He's been like 30 years. He's already sitting in yeshivas.
Okay, Rabbi Caplan, we're taking a break now. Thank you.